Welcome to Business Class. I'm Steve Ekstrom from Learn Tourism, a nonprofit academy dedicated to advancing the tourism industry through innovative training and sustainable practices. Our mission? To empower travel professionals and communities with the knowledge they need to create meaningful, authentic, and sustainable tourism experiences. Ready to join us on this journey? Visit learntourism.org and start making a difference today.
Hi, I'm Steve Ekstrom, CEO and co-founder of the tourismacademy.org. Today's guest is John Marshall, founder and Chief Stewardship Officer at the New York City Borough Pass. And John is a great friend, somebody who has worked in tourism for many years.
Thank you so much, Stephen. I really appreciate that. And hi, everybody. It's an absolute honor to be here with you today. As Stephen said, my name's John Marshall, and I'm the founder and Chief Stewardship Officer at NYC Borough Pass. That's a value sightseeing pass for authentic New York City experiences. And I'm also the owner of Outer Borough Traffic, which is a business development consultancy specializing in tourism and hospitality. Having spent nearly 2 decades in various roles within the tourism industry, I'm here to share my journey, some of the lessons I've learned, and hopefully provide some insights that resonate with your own aspirations. My journey began in a place that's unlike anywhere else in the world, New York City. It's a melting pot of cultures, history, and innovation that has profoundly shaped my perspective. Growing up amidst the birthplace of hip hop, the rhythms of salsa, freedom of punk music, it really instilled in me a belief that anything was possible. The diversity, the vibrancy, the architectural beauty of New York has always inspired me to share the experience with others. I wanted to take them walking throughout my hometown so they could witness the many different walks of life, the cultures, the foods, the religions that I had seen. And that stayed with me throughout my life. So often I've looked back and found that I was being prepared for roles that I could never have anticipated. As a college student, I didn't have a real sense of what I wanted to do. I chose to major in history because I had some passing enjoyment in it, but I didn't know how deeply I would become drawn to the stories of our past and the search for the truths that they hold. I didn't know how I would find a love for storytelling and for digging below the surface to find the meanings and lessons that were located there. This laid the groundwork for my career, although I didn't really know it at the time. Working various jobs through and after college, I gained invaluable experience in sales, customer service, and most importantly, in understanding people's needs and desires. I learned how to craft a sales pitch, how to build relationships, and how to read people. These roles were my starter course in relationship building and storytelling, skills that I would carry with me into my professional life. Now, my first significant role after graduation was at Rockefeller Center, very rich in history and beauty. And it's very famous for its ice skating rink and observation deck, as well as being the home of NBC Studios. Here, I learned the fundamentals of hospitality, everything from managing customer experiences over the phone and email to ensuring that every guest left us with a positive impression. I also learned to build long-term relationships with the city's hotel concierge community, and ultimately, I managed our domestic group sales clients. I learned that guest experiences and sales relationships need to be managed thoughtfully from start to finish to provide the best experiences and to never take a good product for granted. No matter how good your product is, what matters the most is that you are consistent and reliable. I learned how to build a wider network based on fairness, respect, and trust. It was under the mentorship of industry leaders and through the opportunities of this role that I begin to understand what it means to work in tourism. The journey from Rockefeller Center to becoming a sales director at the Cirque du Soleil-backed NFL experience was filled with both excitement and challenges. There were a lot of firsts here. It was my first time as a director, the first time leading a team. It was the first time I was under any real pressure, and the first time I was truly challenged. This role taught me the importance of team management, strategic planning, and adapting to high-pressure environments. Although it was daunting and I faced my share of failures, the lessons learned were invaluable, teaching me resilience and the power of positive leadership. Now, my next stop was much more positive. Joining the team at NYC Tourism and Conventions, offered a broader view of what it means to represent a global destination like New York City. I was now on the road traveling every 2 to 5 weeks, attending trade shows and conferences, and executing fam tours, site inspections, and sales missions, all to promote NYC from the ground up. Now, of course, we all know that the pandemic hit. And like a lot of us, I had a lot of time to sit at home and think about the work that could and should be done at that moment. Of course, we needed to educate the travel trade on the unprecedented medical situation unfolding in front of all of us, especially in New York City. We were hit extremely hard. But what else? There had to be something more. So I pivoted to developing engaging diversity webinars that raised the voices of Black, Latino, and Asian voices within our city. And when the time was right, I spearheaded marketing campaigns to bring business back to our city and reignite our local economy. We're so dependent on tourism, and we really needed to bring that back. This realization led me to launch NYC Borough Pass. I found myself behind a family of 4 walking down Fifth Avenue. That's one of our most famous shopping districts. And I was stuck behind the mom, the dad, the son, and the daughter. Now, the tour guide was pointing out all kinds of things to see on Fifth Avenue. And the dad, easily the most excited of everybody, said, "Wow, there's so much to do." To which the tour guide replied, "Yes, everything's on Fifth Avenue." Now, he meant it as a passing comment, and I shouldn't have taken it any further than that. But really, it broke my heart as a New York native because I know that there's a whole world that exists off of Fifth Avenue, and I wanted everyone to know about it. So I sat on the idea for a couple of years, wasn't really sure what I would do with it, had a couple of different iterations, but really took the time post-pandemic to reevaluate the situation and decided to leave NYC Tourism Conventions and start my own pass. So after months of working on this, we launched our website. We launched our sightseeing pass with 15 small cultural experiences. And in that time since, in just about a year, we're now on track to have about 60 experiences on our pass. So all of this helps us to achieve our mission of connecting travelers to authentic New York City experiences and elevating the stories of the people and places of New York City. We strive to create the best, the most accessible, and the most sustainable ways to inspire and enlighten travelers in New York City. Every year, almost 70 million people visit New York City, and most of them never leave Manhattan. This means that not only are they missing out on valuable experiences like the New York Botanical Garden, a 250-acre garden that is home to over 1 million plants, but their economic impact doesn't reach all of the communities and institutions of NYC because they're staying in one borough. If you aren't aware, there are 5 boroughs to New York City. So Manhattan is one of them, but there's also the Bronx, Brooklyn, Queens, and Staten Island. 5 boroughs, 1 city. So our hope is to affect change for a more equitable distribution of direct tourism spend throughout the entire city to ensure that we don't lose valuable cultural institutions and the communities that they're located in. We have pledged a percentage of our net profits to community-focused initiatives, a scholarship fund for New York City students pursuing a career in hospitality, and a fund for participating vendors to petition us for projects. In the past 2 years, I've taken on 2 major clients. One is Sophie's Cuban, a family-owned chain of Cuban restaurants located in New York City that I worked with last year. That experience allowed me to take my previous experience and discover a different aspect of hospitality with new challenges to figure out and new abilities to grow and to help that business in the ways that I could. And I'm now consulting with the Brooklyn Museum, as you may be able to see from my background. And I'm working with them to audit their processes and products, determine the best markets, segments, and channels for them, and build and scaffold a tourism strategy for them. And this is really important because they're located in Brooklyn. And part of my mission is to get people out of Manhattan and into places like Brooklyn and to preserve these really amazing cultural institutions. Creating New York City experiences and navigating the complexities of entrepreneurship have been the most significant growth experiences of my career. They're both challenging and rewarding, and they're filled with learning opportunities in product development, design, operations, web development, reviewing contracts, sales strategy, and multiple facets of marketing. It's SEO, SEM, paid ads, social medias, the list goes on and on. Working with just myself and my partner, we're really pushed to learn more and more every day and invest in our business as best we can. Now, as I mentioned, our work at NYC BP is centered around the preservation of our communities and cultural institutions. So I'd like to share a quick video by the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization that underscores the importance of this mission.
John, what makes a cultural experience something that visitors want to see and want to experience?
Absolutely. The purpose of our Borough Pass is to reach out to travelers who are interested in visiting destinations to really immerse themselves in it, to learn what the locals do, to what the locals see, to what's important to the history, the people, and I'm really understanding what that destination is. For example, if you came to New York City, you wouldn't really accomplish those things by coming to Times Square, but you would accomplish those things by going to a cultural museum or an attraction like the Botanical Garden, where you get outside of the city center, really get into the communities and understand what's going on there and what the locals are like. What kind of experience would there be for visitors that are coming to Saudi Arabia? I talked about my time at NYC Tourism and Conventions. And so, as we pivoted our focus at NYC Tourism and Conventions to address our new audiences during the pandemic, it became really clear to me that we had an opportunity to do something truly impactful for Muslim travelers. Recognizing that New York City is home to the largest and most ethnically diverse Muslim population in the United States, I saw a pressing need to make our city more accessible and welcoming to all visitors, regardless of their cultural or religious backgrounds. In collaboration with the company Halal Trip, we set out to create New York City's first halal travel guide. This is a 24-page resource that goes beyond the general tourist attractions. It's available in both English and Arabic. Now, this guide not only highlights places like Central Park and the Brooklyn Bridge, but it delves deeper. It offers information on Muslim-friendly hotels, key mosques across the boroughs, and halal dining options, as well as places to shop and things to see. It's designed to ensure that Muslim visitors can navigate our city with ease, honoring their lifestyle and religious practices. Understanding the importance of authenticity and representation, we engage with local Muslim personalities, integrating their perspectives and insights into the guide. Our goal was never to dictate how Muslim travelers should experience New York City. Instead, we sought to empower them by providing a tool that reflects their needs and interests. Now, creating the Halal Travel Guide has been one of my proudest achievements. It stands as a testament to our commitment to inclusivity, ensuring that visitors from diverse backgrounds can see themselves in New York City and have meaningful experiences that resonate with their identity and culture. This project underscored for me the profound impact of thoughtful, community-centered tourism development, where everyone is invited to share in the richness of our city.
Why is inclusivity important for tourism entities?
Inclusivity is incredibly important because you want to make sure that everyone possible that's interested in coming to your destination or attraction, experience, or tour feels welcome there, feels like they can see themselves in that space. And that's great, not only for their experience and their ability to become an ambassador after they experience that thing, but it's also good for the bottom dollar, right? You always want to keep that in mind, the economic portion of this. When you build an inclusive environment, you give yourself the opportunity to get more travelers. That simple.
I think that's a really good point in making everybody feel welcome, regardless of where they come from or what their background is. The travel guides and these programs that are meant to speak to specific audiences really do support the work of these students in learning to speak English for visitors that are coming to Saudi Arabia.
Sustainable can mean a couple of things to me. So sustainable in the way that we use it at NYC Borough Pass means that we're combating over-tourism. In New York City, a lot of people end up in a city center, and that's not a sustainable practice for the locals that live here, for the way that traffic moves and the way that money moves throughout the city. And so we're trying to push people out of that city center so that it can be, as I mentioned before, a more equitable spend. Sustainable also, and probably more commonly, is about eco-friendliness. When you have people in a destination, they have the tendency to consume. whether that be how they move around the city with cars and taxis, or littering. We're promoting experiences like in New York City, we're doing bike tours and fitness tours and things like that, promoting experiences that don't have such a negative impact on a destination.
So one of the other things that I think is important for a new destination like Saudi Arabia is sustainability in a cultural sense. It could be the local culture that's been developed over thousands of years is critical to the visitor experience. And that has to be a sustainable model where the visitor experience doesn't overwhelm or overtake the unique culture that is that region. Have you found that to be true in experiences in and around New York?
100% agree. And in New York, we have a situation where it's not only impacted by tourists, but it's impacted by a bunch of socioeconomic factors. But when it comes to New York City experiences, people just don't know about that local culture. They don't know about those local experiences. And so it's more of a war of attrition. The culture is eroding because people don't know enough about it to go out and see it. So you have these smaller institutions that have incredible missions to preserve our histories, preserve the cultural diversity of the city, and preserve these experiences. But because they're not getting the funding from visitation, and then it's a struggle to get it from the city or the state, they end up washing out of existence. And then you have people who come to visit who just see Hawaii as a beach destination and consume without regard for the people, the environment, or the culture that's existed there for hundreds and thousands of years.
Before we dive back in, a quick word from our sponsor, Learn Tourism, the nonprofit academy, where we're dedicated to transforming the tourism industry with 4 key services: our cutting-edge learning experience platform, which offers robust analytics and seamless updates; our custom course development, which ensures tailored learning solutions; subject matter experts who provide deep insights and valuable knowledge; and of course, our engaging speakers who are here to inspire and educate with impactful presentations. Discover how we can elevate your tourism education at learntourism.org.
What I'm hearing is that it's a twofold education experience. It's one for the attractions and activities and experience providers to learn how to accommodate the visitor, but it's also teaching the visitor about what makes those things so special and so unique. So the visitor becomes part of that preservation base here.
I 100% agree. We really don't see enough education in most destinations about how tourists should interact with that destination. We don't see enough involvement of local community boards and local government and understanding what the needs of the destination are before we promote. It's a real miscalculation from what I've seen. Diversity and inclusivity in tourism are not just ideals to strive for. They're essential pillars that make tourism more enriching and more meaningful for everybody involved. This inclusivity not only enhances the visitor experience, but it also enriches the fabric of our destinations. Now, the power of storytelling and community engagement has been a cornerstone of my career. Each of us has a unique story. And so within our communities lie endless tales that are waiting to be told. And engaging with these stories and the people behind them allow us to create experiences that are authentic and that resonate on a personal level. It's through storytelling that we can showcase the uniqueness of our cultures and destinations, making every visit for every visitor unforgettable. That's been a critical part within the tourism industry. So each obstacle that I face, from navigating high pressure roles to pioneering new projects, it's been a stepping stone to a deeper personal understanding and resilience. So I encourage you to view challenges not as barriers, but as opportunities to learn, grow, and innovate. It's through overcoming these hurdles that we discover our true potential and the endless possibilities within the tourism industry. My journey has taught me the importance of commitment to meaningful work, pursuing projects that make a positive impact, whether it's enhancing accessibility, promoting cultural exchange, or supporting local communities. That's been the most fulfilling aspect of my career. As future leaders in tourism, you have the power to shape an industry that values not just the economic bottom line, but also the well-being of the communities we engage in. You stand at the threshold of an exciting industry with the potential to bridge cultures, create understanding, and drive sustainable growth. So as you step forward, remember the importance of inclusivity, the power of storytelling, the fulfillment of meaningful work. And let these principles help guide you as you contribute to global tourism, making a difference in the world one visitor at a time.
I have a couple other questions for you. What are 2 or 3 things that you look for in the accommodations that you choose? Where to stay?
That's an interesting question for me because I don't mind at all where I stay. What I look at when I travel, the things that are important to me, is where I can engage with local businesses. So almost without fail, the first thing that I do when I travel is I go get a haircut. I look up a local barber and I go hang out. And I talk to them and they tell me about the city. They fill me in on all the hot spots. They tell me what's going on, what festivals are there, where to go, what neighborhoods to stay away from. And it's this real meaningful moment of connection and happiness for both of us, where they're able to share their city with me and I'm able to get it in an organic way. And I get to look better than I did when I walked in. So it's one of the fun touches that I have. I really enjoy talking to taxi drivers, wait staff, and the locals and finding out, just asking a quick question like, hey, we're thinking about this afterwards. Is that a good idea? Those are the parts of travel to me that I find most important.
Talk to me a little bit about your dining experiences when you travel.
I try to find things that only exist where I go. I don't want to go to chains. I don't want to eat just at the new hottest restaurant. I like places that have history. I like have places that have connections to the people. So I go where the locals go. That's what I try to find. But it really leads, again, as I said, to meaningful interactions and me leaving that place feeling like I truly experienced what that destination has to offer.
What advice would you have for somebody who is starting or opening a new attraction or a new experience?
Number one is be patient, right? It takes a while to build something. And it's not as simple as the saying from the movie Field of Dreams is if you build it, they will come. And so many people think that if they build an experience, if they build an attraction, if they build something, that people will automatically visit them. That's not true. You need to do outreach. You need to say hello. And when you do that, you need to do that intentionally. You need to do that authentically and organically and not in a way that's you're trying to drive, just say, hey, come visit me. You need to make people feel welcome and inclusive. You need to consider the community. You need to engage with the community in a back and forth. They'll be your biggest ambassadors if you reach out to them. And probably think through a customer experience from start to finish. These days, so you have to look through your website and your social media and your newsletter list and all of those elements. And then you can jump to when they walk in your door, who greets them, where's the second touch point they get? How easy is it to check out? Where could there be gaps that you're missing? Walk through something many times and see it from the customer experience. I was on the front lines and seeing things from that ground level perspective provided infinite knowledge for me, infinite perspective on how everything else is built on top of that. You can have sales and marketing and all of the beautiful images and content, but if when somebody gets to you, there's not a great visitor experience because a staffing concern isn't met, and you don't know that because you haven't seen things from your staff's perspective where you're not listening to them, it can be a big mistake.
I'll share a little anecdote here. I visited the Idaho Potato Museum. It's a small attraction, small facility, but it has one of the highest reviews you'll find on TripAdvisor. They intentionally asked the visitors where they were coming from, what they're interested in, how they learned about this experience, and what else they're doing in their day to engage the visitor and let the visitor feel like they're part of the experience. What are maybe 2 or 3 questions that you would suggest people at attractions ask to invite visitors to be a part of that experience?
Hello, how are you? So many people don't ask that. They don't welcome people in and show them that they care. And that's what people want when they're traveling. They want to know that they're being taken care of. When you see someone who needs help, ask them if they need help. And if you see enough people that need help, fix the thing that people always need help about. I think that's a really important thing. And on exit, when people are leaving, ask them where they're going. See if you can help them get there. See if you can give them any advice.
What's been the favorite piece of advice that you've gotten in your travels?
Once someone tells you to go somewhere and you trust them and you go there, it unlocks a piece of your brain where you say, oh, wow, this is a valuable way for me to perceive travel. This is a valuable way for me to experience a destination. Let me do this more often. Let me make sure that this is a repeat, not just in this city, but in every city and every country that I visit.
Is the benefit of tourism limited to the attractions, restaurants, and hotels that people visit, or does it get spread around the community a little bit more?
It should get spread around the community a little bit more. We have 5 observatories, like the people who work at those places, and I think people should visit them, at least one of them. But I would never go to an observatory when I visit somewhere. I would rather go into a local community and go to local restaurants and go to local experiences and learn about the things that are inherent to that particular place. I'm not a big fan of these new immersive, surreal, AR, augmented reality experiences. Maybe I'm old school. I crave true authenticity. And I think so often I bemoan the fact that though I was born in a world that didn't have smartphones, we eventually got them. And I think that really takes away from true authentic experiences. Right now, we promote authenticity and immersion and all of these buzzwords when we talk about attractions and destinations, when in reality, the most immersed you could be is sitting in a restaurant by yourself, just waiting for someone to talk to you, or starting a conversation with a stranger, or walking down the street, keeping your head up and seeing a food cart that you walk by that you wouldn't have noticed if you weren't paying attention. We're so quick, we're so focused on getting from A to B, we miss what's between those 2 points very often.
A piece of advice I got is to budget time to get lost.
Hmm. We put together fam trips of usually 3 or 4 days for people coming in market to experience our destination. As a rule, we always had at least one day where there was a half a day free for those people to do whatever it was that they wanted to do in New York City. There's an experience around every corner, and people have things that they want to do. We knew that experience that they had on their own was going to be way more valuable for them in selling the destination and truly experiencing it than anything that we could have crafted thinking that we knew what was best for them. You're
I think that leads to the importance of asking the open-ended question. What would you like to experience while you're here? What's important to you? And matching the visitor up with those types of experiences. And that means knowing and understanding your own community, knowing and understanding the cultural assets, the experience assets, the restaurants, the places to stay and things to do.
I'd like to see all the types of things that I could do. I'd like to see the way those things are presented to me and allow for me to feel like I want people to feel with my Borough Pass that I have access to the things that speak to me. And when I walk away from them, I will feel more fulfilled and more involved than I did when I entered there.
From my own experience, I find it's valuable to visit the luxury resort, but I also like getting tacos from the stand on the corner.
Oh, absolutely. There's never one version of a city. That's just not how people are. It's not how communities are. And if we're not promoting all elements, and we're not showing the full destination that we could be.
Any closing thoughts? Recommendations for people who may be starting their careers in tourism?
Yeah. Network. I can be an extrovert, but usually I'm more introspective. I keep to myself. And early in my career, it was hard for me to put myself out there. And that's probably the biggest regret I have in the tourism industry is that it's very important to network. You'll find so many more opportunities. And one thing remains true about the tourism industry that I found, no matter where I meet people, is that we do fight for each other. It's not an industry where there's a lot of competition, because we know that somebody might come to New York City this year, but they're probably going somewhere else. They might go to France the next year and Saudi Arabia the year after that. You never know what opportunities, what partnerships, what advice can come up from simply having an honest and open conversation with somebody. And then I think the other piece is to believe in yourself. I think that I was limited by that for a while, and I really found a freedom. And I'm not saying that entrepreneurship is for everybody. It took me a while to find my footing. And once I did, I was able to create what I think is some really meaningful work. And so believe in your unique perspective, believe in your story and the vision that you have. So share it.
Thank you so much, John, for joining us today. We appreciate having you as a guest.
Thanks for tuning in to Business Class. This episode is brought to you by Learn Tourism, the nonprofit academy where we advance the tourism industry with cutting-edge training and sustainable practices. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to visit learntourism.org to learn more about our programs and how you can get involved. Until next time, stay curious, continue learning and making a difference through tourism.